When my parents gave my sister $100,000 for her wedding, I thought it was just the usual family favoritism. You know how some families are. The firstborn gets more. The youngest is told to be independent. I thought I could live with that. Until I found out the truth they hid from me for 10 years. A truth that changed how I saw my parents and changed my life for good. My name is Minh. I'm a 28 and accountant at a financial consulting firm in Hanoi. I live alone in a small apartment. I cook, do my own laundry, take care of everything. People call me an independent, strong, self-sufficient woman. Almost no one knows that the strength wasn't a choice. It was the only thing I had. My sister's name is Anne. She's 4 years older and teaches elementary school. She's the pride of the family. Pretty gentle, obedient. Exactly what my parents wanted. Me, I'm the different one. More outspoken, more independent. Maybe that's why I got left out more. My dad is Tuan 60, a retired teacher. He's traditional, strict, not very talkative. My mom is Hoa, 58, a homemaker who cares about public opinion more than anything else. We lived in a 3-story house Dad built in 1995, right in Dong Da District, Hanoi. A normal middle-class family, at least from the outside. Look closer and you'll see the cracks. I remember being 6 on my first day of school. Dad drove Anne on the motorbike. I walked with Mom because the school was close. When I was 8 and got piano lessons, I begged to learn too, but Dad said there was only enough money for one kid. Of course, that kid was her. At 10, I got pneumonia and stayed in the hospital for 2 months. One night, I woke up and heard Mom crying in the hall. She told Dad, "Good thing we still have the older one." Those words stabbed my heart, even though I was too young to get it. At 12, and got into a gifted middle school. My parents took a trip to Dalat to celebrate her. I stayed home with Grandma. I asked why I couldn't go, and Mom said, "You already do well. You don't need a reward." At 15, I won first prize in the city's academic contest. Dad patted my shoulder and said, "You're tough, not like other girls." I didn't know if that was praise or a jab. I only knew that ever since then, every time someone called me tough, I felt a little farther away. There's one thing I never forgot. Grandma's gold bracelet. The only thing she left behind. A traditional piece carved with lotus flowers, 5 chi of gold. She died when I was 7. Before she closed her eyes, she stroked my hand and said, "This is your dowry." I didn't know what dowry meant, but I remember her eyes and that promise. My parents put the bracelet in the safe and said, "When you grow up, we'll give it to you." During holidays, Mom loved to take it out and show relatives. This is my youngest's. I grew up feeling invisible. Not hated, not abused, just invisible. I got good grades but no praise because that's how I was supposed to be. I took care of myself but got no credit because people thought it was just my nature. Little by little, I learned not to need anyone. Not because I wanted that, because I was afraid to bother anyone. The line I heard the most at home was, "You don't need help. You can handle it." And I believed it. Until a fall evening last year when Anne walked in with a bright smile and news I thought would be for all of us. It was the start of a nightmare I never saw coming. It was a night in March 2024. I went home for our usual weekend dinner. The second I opened the door, I felt it. A different air. Mom was beaming. Dad opened a bottle of wine, which almost never happened, and sat next to a man I'd met a few times. Minh, 35, a cardiologist at a big hospital. "You're home? Come sit." Mom waved me over, way too excited. I sat at the corner of the table, feeling like an audience member at a play, and held Min's hand. Her cheeks were pink. Her eyes shined in a way I'd never seen. Then she dropped the line that decided everything. "Next week, Min and I are going to register our marriage." The room burst into cheers. Mom hugged her and cried. Dad stood up and shook Min's hand, face red with emotion. I clapped and smiled, truly happy for her. She was 32. My parents had worried about her getting married for a long time. Min seemed like a good guy. Top medical school, 3 years in France, a family that owned a medical equipment company. It really was good news. Dad popped the wine and poured 5 glasses. Mom said she'd cook a full spread for the engagement day. Anne and Min laid out the plan. Engagement in May, wedding in July. Min was polite. "Please let us handle most of it." Dad shook his head. "No, this is our daughter. We have to do it right." Mom nodded. "Yes, we'll throw a big wedding so his family sees we value our daughter." Then Dad said the one line I'll never forget. He looked in dead-in-the-eye voice full of pride. "We've been saving for a long time. $100,000. We want you to have a complete wedding. One that fits you." The soup spoon slipped from my hand and hit the table with a sharp ring. No one noticed. Every eye was on Anne as she cried and hugged our parents tight. $100,000. My ears rang. All I could hear was my blood and my racing heart. 100,000 US dollars. 2.5 billion dong. The price of a 2-bedroom apartment. 5 times my annual income. Money that 2 retirees would need a lifetime to save. And sobbed, I don't want you to work that hard for me. Min tried to refuse too. That's too much, Dad insisted. No, this is our responsibility. This is our only daughter getting married. Only daughter cut into my chest like a knife. I sat there 2 meters away from my parents, and it was like I didn't exist. No one looked at me. No one asked what I thought about the wedding. No one saw the tears pooling at the corners of my eyes. Everyone focused on Anne, her radiant smile, her happiness, her bright future. Mom held her hand. I want you to have the most beautiful wedding so you'll remember it forever. Dad nodded. I've got everything covered, don't worry. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. I bit my lip trying to hold it together. In my head, the numbers spun. 100 grand, 2,500,000,000. I opened my phone and checked my bank account under the table. 47 million dong. That was all I had after 6 years of work, after rent and food and bills. One question pounded in my head louder and clearer each time. Would they ever set aside even half that for me? A third, a tenth, or was I? The strong independent doesn't need help daughter, never going to be considered at all. I excused myself early and said I was tired. No one stopped me. Mom just nodded busy talking menus with Anne. Dad walked me to the door and patted my shoulder. Drive safe. I rode home in a fog. I don't remember the red lights. I don't remember which turns I took. I got to my small apartment, closed the door, left the lights off, and slid to the floor in the dark. The question kept echoing. In my parents' eyes, what am I worth? A week later, I still couldn't sleep. Every night I lay there and thought. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. She's the firstborn. Of course she gets priority. She's getting married first. That's normal. I don't have a boyfriend yet. I don't need money now. My parents aren't biased. It's just how things fell. Every time I tried that, old memories flooded back. In college, my parents paid Anne's tuition on time every semester. I worked nights at a café to cover mine. When Anne graduated, they bought her a new motorbike. I had to buy a used electric bike off a marketplace. When we lived away from home for school, Anne got $3 million a month for rent. I got one. I had to share a tiny room with 3 other girls. I kept asking myself, why did being strong turn into a punishment? That weekend, I went home. Not to demand anything. To understand. I needed to hear them explain. I needed to know if I was wrong or if the feeling of being left behind was real. Sunday afternoon, Dad went to a veterans meeting. Anne was at a side job. It was just me and Mom. She sat at the table going through the guest list and writing down names. I brewed 2 cups of tea, set one in front of her, and sat down. Mom, I started trying to keep my voice calm. I want to ask you something. She looked up over her reading glasses. What is it? I took a deep breath. About the wedding. I'm not jealous. I just want to understand. Why $100,000? She put her pen down and stared at me confused. What are you saying? Are you jealous of your sister? I'm not jealous. I shook my head. I just want to know if there will ever be a day when you do something that special for me too. Or if that'll never happen. Silence stretched tight. She looked at me for a long time, then sighed. Her voice went cold. What are you talking about? Your sister is marrying a good man. His family is respectable. I have to treat them well. If I don't, people will look down on us. I get that, I said softly. But I'm your daughter too. So what? She raised an eyebrow. You're strong. You can handle your life. You don't need our help. But Mom, I also need. Your sister is different, she cut me off. She's much more fragile than you. She needs us. You're different. You can stand on your own. That's why we're at ease. I sat there like I'd been slapped. The words echoed in my head. You're strong. You can handle it. She needs us more. So that's the formula. That's how this family has operated for 28 years. Love divided by need. The weak get lifted. The strong stand alone. No one asks if the strong want a shoulder too. No one asks if they're strong because they had no choice. I glanced at the side table. In the middle of the invitations and guest lists was a small red velvet box. I knew what was inside. Grandma's gold bracelet. The thing she promised me. The thing Mom used to show off saying, "This is my youngest's." Now it sat there waiting to be handed to Anne on her wedding day. I understand, I said, standing up with a shaky voice. Thanks for talking with me. Mom squinted. What's wrong? Your face is all red. I'm fine. I forced a smile. I'm going upstairs. I climbed the stairs one heavy step at a time back to my old room, 12 square meters where I lived 18 years before I moved out. I sat on the bed and looked out the window. The afternoon light was golden. Life went on like normal. Inside me, something had just broken. I got it. In this family, love followed a strange formula. The weak got help. The strong were left to handle it. No one noticed the strong get tired. No one saw the nights when the independent cried alone. I decided right then, I wasn't going to argue. I would keep my distance. Sometimes silence is the only way to protect yourself. After that talk, I thought I'd step back and let them handle Anne's wedding. Life didn't let me off that easy. April came. The engagement party was huge. 30 trays, 5 gift sets, the house dressed up like a palace. And suddenly, I was asked to handle the entire family photo album display. Do this for us, Dad said like it was obvious. You're good at this. I took 3 days off. I dug through boxes of old photos, scanned hundreds. From my parents' wedding in the 80s to Anne's childhood to family holidays. I touched up each photo, built a pretty album, printed large frames. It cost 4 million dong. My money. When I finished, Mom glanced at it. Yeah, it's fine. No thank you. No praise. On the engagement day, I served tea to guests and didn't sit at the family table because there wasn't space for VIPs. That was just the beginning. And was busy teaching and couldn't track the planning. My parents are older, don't use social media, don't know how to book services online. I became the one who handled it all. No one asked me. They just assigned it. Can you deal with the restaurant and texted? I'm swamped. Design the invitations, Mom said. I don't know those things. Book the photographer makeup and dresses for your sister, Dad added. I trust you. The task list grew. Contact restaurants, pay deposits, do tastings, design invites on my laptop. Find a photographer, a makeup artist, a bridal shop. Draft a 300-person guest list and call to confirm one by one. Book the wedding car and guest shuttles. Find hotels for out-of-towners. May got worse. I took 5 more unpaid days off. 3 makeup trials, 7 bridal shops. Flowers, stage decor, photo backdrop. Travel and food costs added another 3 million. My money. Every time I finished something, I didn't get thanks. I got complaints. Why are you so slow? I told you last week. I said blush pink. Why did you pick darker pink? I told you that restaurant isn't good. Why didn't you listen? One afternoon, I was on the living room floor working on stage decor when Mom's friend Lon stopped by. She looked at me and asked, Where's Min? Is she doing okay? Mom sat right next to me and answered, Oh, that one. She's busy with her stuff. She's not as free as her sister. She's very strong, Mom went on. She can take care of herself. Don't worry about her. Then she turned and praised An. An is gentle and obedient. She needs us for everything. I was right there. Less than 3 feet away, holding the folder with the banquet contract. It was like I wasn't even there. Like I was a ghost in this house. June was peak chaos. I did 5 airport runs to pick up guests, checked in 15 hotel rooms, managed the restaurant's menu seating chart and place cards, packed 300 gift boxes. Time for myself, none. Work time minus 8 days. June paycheck docked 4 million. One night at 2 a.m., I was still awake, sitting on the floor, sticking labels on 300 gift boxes. My fingers were swollen from tape. My back hurt. My eyes burned from no sleep. I checked my bank app. 31 million dong left. In 3 months, I'd spent 16 million on my sister's wedding. I looked around my little place, the boxes, the endless to-do list, and I asked myself, what am I doing? I wasn't a bridesmaid. I wasn't an event planner. I was a sister, a daughter. But to them, maybe those roles were the same as unpaid help. No thanks, no recognition, not even seen. What was breaking inside me wasn't just love. It was my self-respect. Sunday, June 23rd, 2024, 1 week before the wedding, the day everything shattered. The rehearsal dinner was at a fancy venue. 30 tables, 250 guests. The goal was to taste the food, check the stage, and let the couple do a practice walk. Family from both sides. Close friends, coworkers. A rehearsal big enough to be a real wedding. I arrived 2 hours early, checked tables and chairs, directed the staff on decor, adjusted stage lights, tested the projector. As people arrived, I stood at the entrance, guided them to seats, and handed out programs. The main stage looked stunning. The family table sat right in front of it, the best view. 10 seats, Anne and Min in the middle, parents from both sides. Grandparents, my aunt and uncle. When everyone sat down, I realized something. There was no seat for me. I counted again. 10 seats, 10 people. My name wasn't on the card. I went to Mom and whispered, "Where do I sit?" She was fixing a tablecloth and answered without looking at me. "Sit at the next table with the younger cousins. Keep an eye on them for me." The next table. I turned and looked. 8 teenagers and college kids, distant cousins. They didn't know me. I sat down. One asked, "Are you staff?" I gave a thin smile and shook my head. The party started. Appetizers landed. People laughed and chatted. On stage and glowed in a pink ao dye. Min looked sharp. My parents grinned and took photos with relatives. Then, Mom's best friend Huang called out from the next table, "Hoa, what about your youngest Min? When is she getting married?" The whole place went quiet. Heads turned to the family table. I was 5 meters away adjusting the projector. My heart pounded. Mom forced a laugh. "Don't ask about her. She's not like her sister." Huang asked, "How so?" Mom went on. "She's so independent. She doesn't need family. She might stay single forever." A few tables chuckled. I stood there, remote in hand, frozen. "Her sister is sweet and obedient," Mom said. "She is very opinionated and difficult." I'm tired. Once we finish with the older one, I'm relieved. The table laughed louder. Someone asked, "Where's the youngest?" Mom waved toward me. "Right there. She's running the wedding for her sister." People turned and stared. Pity, teasing, curiosity. I stood there in simple clothes with the remote in my hand, face burning. Not from shame, from anger, from pain, from being humiliated in front of 250 people. I forced a smile, nodded, and walked away. I stepped into the hall, went into the restroom, locked the door, and cried. I cried for 5 minutes, looked in the mirror. I looked wrecked. 3 nights without sleep, dark circles, pale skin. I washed my face and wiped my tears. I tried to steady myself. When I stepped out, Anne was in the hall. She looked at me a little awkward. "You okay?" she asked. "Your face is red." "You heard it right," I asked. She paused, then said, "Mom just talks. Don't take it to heart. You know how she is." "You didn't say anything," I asked. "You stood there while she talked about me like that and said nothing. What did you want me to say?" She frowned. "Argue with Mom in public today is my day. Don't make a scene." "Your day," I repeated. "Right. Everything is your day. Your wedding. Your happiness. What am I, the help?" "What are you talking about?" she snapped. "Are you jealous?" "No," I shook my head. "I'm just tired." I turned to go. She called after me. "Where are you going? The party isn't over." I didn't look back. I walked to the lot, got on my bike, and left. I left the rehearsal. I left 250 guests. I left my family. On the ride home, the tears came. I didn't wipe them away. It was time to cry. Time to admit this. In this family, I wasn't a daughter. I was a ghost. Right then, I decided. I wouldn't go to Anne's wedding. From Monday to Wednesday, I didn't leave my apartment. I called in sick, silenced my phone, lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling. Questions spun. If I don't go, am I selfish? Am I overreacting? Should I swallow it? Smile and just show up. Every time I thought that I saw those pitying looks, I heard Mom's line. She might stay single forever. I remembered Anne's silence when I needed her to stand up for me. What had I done for 3 months? Everything for that wedding. My money, my vacation days, my energy. What did I get back? No thanks, no recognition. Only complaints and public humiliation. Wednesday afternoon, June 26th, I made up my mind. I sat up, grabbed my phone, and called Anne. She picked up on the 3rd ring. "Yeah," I kept my voice steady. "I can't come to your wedding." Silence for 5 seconds. Then, disbelieving, "What did you say? Is this a joke?" "It's not a joke," I said. "I can't attend a wedding where I'm treated like hired help, not a sister." Do you know my voice shook what I've done for this wedding for 3 months? At the rehearsal, I didn't even have a seat at the family table. Mom talked about me in front of 250 people, and you just stood there and was quiet. Then she exploded. "You're selfish. Do you know this is the most important day of my life?" "I know," I said. "Do you know that in 28 years, I've never had a day anyone noticed?" "How do I explain this to people?" she demanded. "You only think about yourself." That stabbed me. Think about myself. My whole life, I never got to think about myself. I was always the one who had to yield, be strong, be independent. The first time I chose me, I was called selfish. "Yes," I said, voice turning cold. "This time, I'm thinking about me. Because for 28 years, no one in this family has." I hung up. An hour later, Dad called. He was yelling the second I picked up. "What are you trying to do?" "You want to shame this family." I tried to stay calm. I'm not trying to shame anyone. I just can't go. I don't want to hear excuses, he barked. If you don't go, what will people think? They'll say we're not a united family, that the sisters hate each other. Dad, you will be there. He cut me off. That's your duty. I raised you so you could humiliate me like this. He hung up before I could say more. 10 minutes later, Mom called. She was crying. You're breaking my heart. Do you know that? Mom, I sighed. I raised you. I fed you. How could you do this to me? Do you know how they'll laugh at me? But at the rehearsal, what I said was nothing, she snapped. I was just joking. Why can't you understand me? Joking. 250 people heard her say her daughter might stay single forever. That was a joke. I'm sorry, I said, but I can't go. She sobbed and hung up. After that, the messages poured in. Mom's friend, Lan. I heard you won't go to the wedding. Don't do that. Your parents are heartbroken. Uncle Tuan, I know you have your reasons, but for the family's sake, go. Aunt Huang, you're going too far. Families talk things out. Even An's best friend. For Anne's sake, please go. Everyone blamed me. No one asked why. No one wanted to listen. To them, I was the ungrateful, selfish daughter. Saturday, June 29th, the night before the wedding. I turned off my phone, sat in my small apartment, watched fireworks from some other wedding across town. I asked myself one last time, am I doing the right thing? Then I remembered. The pitying eyes, Mom's line, and silence. The $100,000 with no share for me. 3 months of unpaid work with no thanks. I knew my answer. I wouldn't change my mind. Sunday, June 30th, my sister's wedding day, I wouldn't be there. That would be the day I lost a family. It would also be the day I started to find myself. Section 7, the wedding day alone but free, June 30th, 2024. Sunday, my sister's wedding day. I woke at 6. Habit from all the prep mornings. But I wasn't going anywhere. I knew how busy their house was. The makeup team arrived at 5. And I sat in front of the mirror while they did her face. Mom ran around checking every detail. Dad greeted early guests. The restaurant started setting up. The car was waiting outside. Everything went according to plan. The plan I wrote. I wasn't there. I made coffee and sat on my balcony. I looked down at the street. People rushed by. Life moved on. Hanoi was as busy as ever. Somewhere a wedding was happening. I sat here, alone. It felt strange. Empty, but light. Like a weight slid off my shoulders. I didn't have to worry if I did things right. I didn't have to force a smile while being ignored. I didn't have to play the help in my own family. At 8:00, I grabbed my phone and opened social media. Friends and relatives started posting. 8:15, and in a white wedding dress, hair in a bun, a sparkling tiara, a radiant smile, 547 likes in 10 minutes. 8:40, the wedding convoy rolled out. 12 red cars, a luxury car in front. Gold double happiness characters on top. 9:00, the send-off at our house. A photo of An crying and hugging Mom. Dad next to them wiping tears. Min taking her hand and guiding her to the car. A movie-perfect shot. 11:00, check-in at the venue, a gorgeous hall. Fresh flowers everywhere, lights shimmering, a blush pink backdrop with their names. The stage I designed. The decor I picked. Each photo felt like a blade. Not from jealousy, not from regret, because I wasn't in any of them. And it seemed no one noticed. At 2:00, I turned on the TV and tried a movie. I couldn't focus. I turned it off and checked my phone again. My timeline was flooded with wedding pictures. Anne's bright smile, Min handsome in a black suit. My parents happily posing with guests. 15 family tables, 20 for friends and colleagues. Everyone dressed up. Everyone happy. Perfect. I zoomed in on the family table. Counted 10 people, Dad, Mom. And Min, grandparents, aunt, uncle, and An's best friend. They'd replaced me. No empty seat. Everything looked complete without me. I put my phone down and looked out the window. The light was golden. It was a beautiful day for a wedding. I was here, alone, in a quiet room. At 5:00, my phone buzzed. A text from Anne. My heart jumped. Family photos are missing you. But it's fine. There was a photo. The big family shot. Anne and Min in the middle, parents at their sides, grandparents behind, aunt and uncle at the ends. 10 people, missing me. Another text. No one missed you. People asked, and Mom said you had important work out of town. She covered for you. You should be grateful. I stared at the screen. I read it again. You should be grateful. The tears came. Not from hurt anymore, because I finally knew I did the right thing. Mom covered for me. With a lie. that I had important work, that I couldn't come. Not that I was hurt, humiliated, and left out. Just busy, important, somewhere else. They didn't miss me. The wedding was perfect. No one felt shortchanged. Their lives didn't need me. Maybe they never did. I turned my phone off and stood up. I looked around my small room. One bed, one closet, one desk. Simple, small, but it was mine. A space where I didn't have to fight to be seen. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky turned orange-red. Another day was done. The day I lost a family. The day I found myself. Someone who didn't have to beg to be seen. Someone who knows that absence can be the loudest presence. The first week after the wedding felt like a hazy dream. I went back to work. Coworkers asked, "Was your sister's wedding fun?" I gave a thin smile and nodded. It was great. They didn't know I didn't go. I didn't plan to tell them. My phone stayed silent for 7 days. No call from Dad, no text from Mom, and didn't reach out after that wedding day message. It was like nothing happened. Like I never existed in that family. Family life was officially on ice. Friday, my boss called me in. I thought I'd get scolded for taking so many days off. Instead, he handed me an envelope. "We're opening a Da Nang branch," he said. "We need a head of accounting. I thought of you. 30% higher salary, quarterly bonuses. Want it. Da Nang, 500 miles from Hanoi." I didn't need long. "I'll take it." He blinked. "Don't you need to talk to your family? This is permanent, not a short trip." "I don't need to." I smiled. "I can decide." That night I called home. Dad picked up. "I'm transferring to Da Nang," I said. "I'll come back next month to pack." Silence for a few seconds. Then he asked flat, "How long?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe a long time." "Up to you," he said. 2 words. Then he hung up. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't ask why. He didn't try to keep me. 2 words. Up to you. July 15th, 2024. I went home one last time to pack. It poured all morning. I drove over and pushed open the door. Empty? Dad at a meeting. Mom at the market. And moved in with her husband after the honeymoon. Just me, alone in the 3-story house where I'd lived 28 years. I went to my old room. 12 square meters, the wooden bed from middle school, a bookcase stuffed with college texts, a small desk by the window, medals on the wall no one ever cared to look at. I packed 2 big suitcases, clothes, books, a few keepsakes. Not much. My life in that house fit into 2 bags. I looked around one last time. I cried so many nights on that bed. I asked myself so many times why I wasn't loved like my sister. I tried so hard to be seen. Now I was leaving, and I felt light. I dragged the bags downstairs. The wheels thumped on each step. Mom came home just as I reached the door. She stopped and looked at the bags, then at me. "How long will you be in Da Nang?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "Maybe a long time." She nodded and set the grocery bag down. Silence for a few seconds. Then she asked, small voice, "Are you still mad at me?" I looked at her. 58, more gray hair, a little hunched, hands full from the market. She looked older. "I'm not mad," I said. "I'm just tired. Tired of trying to be seen." She frowned. "I do love you. It's just, your sister needed me more." I know I gave a sad smile, but I needed you too. You just didn't see it. She started to say something, but I was already pulling my bags to the door. I looked back one last time at the house, at her standing in the hall. Then I stepped out and closed the door. In the taxi to the airport, I stayed quiet. It was still raining. We passed streets I knew by heart. My high school, the cafe I used to sit in, the little 3-story house shrinking in the rearview mirror. 28 years. I lived 28 years in that city. In that house. In that family. 28 years trying to be loved. 28 years being the strong daughter. Not because I wanted to be. Because I had no choice. Now I chose to go. Not to run away. To move forward. To a place where I didn't have to prove anything. A place where I could just be me. I cried. But I felt lighter. Sometimes love isn't staying. It's knowing when to leave. The plane took off. Hanoi got small below me. I flew south, toward a new life. A new start. Where I wouldn't be the strong daughter. I'd just be Min. And that was enough. From August to December 2024, I lived in Da Nang. Work was good. Coworkers were kind. I rented a studio with an ocean view on the 7th floor and a big balcony. Every morning I opened the window and heard the waves. I ran by the beach before work. At night I did yoga or painted with watercolors. On weekends I found small coffee shops, went to Hoi An, and explored Son Tra. I lived alone. I wasn't lonely. For the first time in my life, I felt free. Dad called once a month and kept it short. You doing okay? I'm okay. Work fine. It's fine. Then he hung up. Mom texted on holidays to ask if I'd come home. I replied I have work. And didn't reach out. I didn't either. Our lives ran like parallel lines. No crossing. No fights either. At the end of December, my company sent me to Hanoi for a 3-day trip. I didn't go home. I stayed at a hotel. Monday night after a meeting, I walked alone. I stopped at a small cafe near Westlake. I ran into Huang, Mom's best friend, the one who asked about me at the rehearsal. She sat alone in a corner with 2 bottles of wine, 1.5 empty. She saw me and waved. Min, long time. I hesitated, then walked over and sat across from her. She was drunk, eyes red, cheeks flushed. She poured me wine and rambled about everything. I listened and nodded. Then she said, I feel bad for your parents. I looked up. Why, back then your sister almost died, she sighed. Your parents were a mess. My heart thudded. Almost died. What do you mean? Huang suddenly sobered up a bit, realizing she'd said too much. You don't know, I thought they told you. I grabbed her hand. Please tell me. What happened? She hesitated, looked around, then whispered. In 2014, your sister was 22 senior year. She was dating a guy named Dung. Not a good guy. Drugs? Dropped out? Your parents forbade it. She didn't listen. She ran away with him. I held my breath. 2 months later, she got pregnant, Huang continued. He forced her to do a DIY abortion at his room. She got a severe infection. High fever. Almost died. Someone told your parents and they rushed her to the hospital. My hands shook. Huang poured more wine and took a long drink. The hospital bill. If I remember right, 180 million. In 2014, that was a lot. Your parents used all their savings. Money meant for both of you. Still short. They borrowed another 30 million from relatives. 180 million. Money for both of us. She stayed in the hospital for a month, Huang said. Then she needed therapy for 6 months. She lost the ability to conceive naturally. She'll need IVF later. I sat there with my mouth open. Your parents felt guilty, she said softly. They thought they were too strict and pushed her to the edge. Since then, they never forced her again. They gave her everything. They hid it to protect her image, and because they were ashamed. What about my money? I asked, voice shaking. Gone back then, she sighed. They planned to sell the house when they're old and split it evenly to make it up to you. But when she got married, they couldn't let her lose face. They had to borrow more for a grand wedding. I sat in that cafe on a cold Hanoi night while the world spun. The pieces clicked. Why my parents favored Anne? Why the $100,000? My mom said my sister was fragile and needed them. Why there was nothing left for me? They weren't cruel. They were scared of losing another child. But the biggest question remained. Why didn't anyone tell me? Auntie, I asked, voice breaking. Why didn't my parents tell me? They were afraid you'd look down on her, she said. Afraid you'd be angry they spent the money. They thought you were young and would forget, and later you'd earn enough and be fine. I thanked Huang and walked alone in the cold. It was 53 degrees, but I didn't feel cold. I felt confused. Angry, sad, understanding all of it, none of it. The truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it just leaves you more lost. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after I met her. I lay in the hotel and stared at the ceiling. I understood my parents more. I still hurt. I felt for Anne more. I was still mad. Why didn't anyone tell me? Why let me misunderstand for years? Wednesday afternoon, I decided. I called home. Dad, can I come for dinner on Sunday? He sounded surprised. Yes, come. That Sunday I went over. They cooked my favorites. Chicken soup, braised fish, boiled greens, pork, and eggs. Mom smiled and said hello, but her eyes were worried. Dad sat quietly and drank tea. We ate in silence. No one wanted to start. The clink of chopsticks echoed in the room. After dinner, I made tea. I set 3 cups on the table and sat across from them. I know what happened in 2014, I said. They froze. Mom's hand shook. She almost dropped her cup. Dad looked at me with wet eyes. How did you find out? Mom asked, voice trembling. It doesn't matter, I said. What matters is, why didn't you tell me? Mom cried. Dad lowered his head. Sweetie, Mom sobbed. I didn't want you to know. Dad spoke, voice tight. That year, I thought I'd lose my daughter. When we took her to the hospital, the doctor said 30% chance to live. I fell to my knees outside the OR and cried like a child. I begged heaven to save her. I sat and listened. I used all the savings, Dad said. I didn't hesitate. I just wanted her to live. When the doctor said she made it, I collapsed on the floor and cried. Mom said after she lived, I knew I was wrong. I was too harsh. I pushed her to the edge. I swore I'd never pressure her again. I'd give her what she wanted. I was scared. I was scared to lose her. But Mom, I cried, what about me? I'm your daughter too. Dad said I know we were biased. I thought you were strong. I thought you'd be okay. She wasn't. She needed us. I didn't realize how much that hurt you. I wiped my tears. Do you know that every time I heard you're strong, I felt lonelier. It meant I had to handle it alone. I wasn't allowed to be weak. I wasn't allowed to need anyone. Mom sobbed. I'm sorry. I thought I was praising you. I didn't know I was hurting you. What about the money, I asked? That 100,000. Mom nodded. Your share was gone in 2014. We planned to sell this house when we're old and split it to make it up to you. But when your sister got married, we couldn't let her lose face. We borrowed from relatives in the bank to do it big. Dad opened a drawer and took out a red velvet box. He opened it. Inside was Grandma's gold bracelet. This is yours, he said, putting it in my hand. We should have given it to you long ago. We're sorry. The bracelet was heavy in my palm. The thing Grandma promised me, the thing I thought I'd lost. I know you went through something hard, I said. I know you love my sister. But for 28 years, I needed love too. Not words like you're strong. Actions. Seeing me. Dad nodded. I know I owe you. I don't know how to fix it. I don't need you to fix it, I said. It's past. I just want you to know this. I need to be seen and acknowledged, not as the strong one. As me. Min. We sat in quiet for 5 minutes. Mom poured more tea. Dad turned on the TV and didn't watch it. For the first time in our lives, the three of us sat together and actually listened. No promises. No more apologies. Just a truth. We heard each other. Now we were trying to understand. Dusk came. I stood up to head back to Da Nang. They walked me to the door. No hugs, no tears, just a look and acceptance. In the car to the airport, I held the bracelet and stared at it. It was still here. A reminder of the past. Of what I lost. Of what I still had. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means you accept the truth and move on.